learn how to make a 2-ingredient comfort food meal? Stay tuned. We're getting ready to make chicken pastry. Hi, my name is Debbie Covington. I'm a chef, caterer, cookbook author, and food columnist. I live on Ladies Island in Beaufort, South Carolina with my husband Vince and our cat Belle. I've been serving delicious food to fabulous people for close to 30 years. This is my trusty sidekick, Susan DeLoach. Susan is a photographer, good friend, and all-around creative talent. Over the years, we've joined forces on catered events, food columns, cooking classes, and published a cookbook together. Cooking videos are our new project. Welcome to our pretend cooking show. Cheers! I grew up in eastern North Carolina, and today I'd like to show you my favorite comfort food. It only has 2 ingredients, plus water, salt, and pepper, which are kind of gimme ingredients, so we don't count those. All it takes is 1 whole chicken and some frozen dumplings. So what we have is 1 whole chicken, about 3.5 pounds, and I've covered it with water, and I'm going to set it on the back eye of the stove to let it simmer until the chicken is so tender it falls off the bone. And once the chicken has been cooked all the way, you remove it from your broth and clean it from the bones, discard the skin, and you end up with a bowl of chicken. We're making chicken pastry. In North Carolina, it's called chicken pastry or chicken dumplings. Down here in the Low Country, I've heard it called chicken wiggle and even chicken slick. And you can also do this with rice, but I'm using pastry today. My mother used to roll it out, but in the way things are now, you don't have time to make dumplings and roll them out. So you can buy them frozen, and these are great. These are Anne's dumplings, and you find them in the frozen section in the grocery store. This is another variety, Mary B's, just whatever your grocery store carries. They're flat dumplings, like this. And you want to keep them frozen until you're ready to use them. So I've already cooked 1 chicken and cleaned it, and I've ended up with about 10.5 cups of chicken stock. So I have it coming to a rolling boil, and I'm going to start adding the pastry in piece by piece, very slowly. You don't want to add them all in at once, because if you do, the temperature of the water or of the broth will drop, and then it gets to be kind of a gluten-y mess. So just little by little, we're going to add these dumplings, and it takes a little bit of time. Once the broth starts losing some of its boil, just give it a minute for the boil to come back up and keep adding your dumplings. You don't want to stir these a lot. I have this slotted spoon. Just kind of keep them moving without stirring, because you don't want them to break. You just want them to cook. And they're going to fluff up and absorb a lot of the broth and get really yummy and tummy warming and all that good stuff. My grandmother, my granny Baker, lots of times didn't use the frozen dumplings and would get these. These are just the dried noodles. These are white egg noodles. These will work very well. You can also use rice. But as you're going for the comfort food, you want something to warm your stomach and fill you up, and it's great for cold days like January, like we have here. I made this for Christmas Eve for my family, and it took, I used the entire box, and it took about, I would say, 10 cups of the chicken stock. If you don't quite have enough chicken stock when you cook yours, you can add a can of chicken broth. It's one of those things you just kind of have to eyeball. So we're going to let these simmer away. And keep adding the noodles, the pastry, the dumplings. There were very few Sundays when I was growing up that we didn't have some form of chicken pastry or chicken dumplings. So I've added all of the pastry, and the dumplings are cooking in the broth, and you can see they're starting to get a little shiny, and that's just because they're soaking up the chicken broth and they're getting soft. So at this point, just want to let them simmer for a couple minutes, and this is a good time to season the dumplings. They're not seasoned at all, so it's going to take a bunch of salt. This is when you want to get out the big boy salt and pepper shakers. And it looks like a lot, but you'll see that it really does need it. I didn't pre-season the chicken or the chicken stock. And the noodles, the pastry noodles, don't really have any seasoning either. So the noodles, pastry look pretty tender. At this point, I'm going to add the cooked chicken back in and let it warm as the pastry continues to cook and get soft. And this will heat the chicken through. So it's going to need to simmer maybe 5 minutes. And then we'll be ready to check the seasonings and give it a taste. I see we have a little guest in the kitchen studio today. This is my cat, Belle, who does not like chicken. Just don't think she wants to miss out on any of the activity. Okay, this looks about perfect at this point. See how everything has like congealed, it's gotten thicker, it's more of a broth and a soup, and the pastry will continue to soak up the broth. At this point, it's a good time to give it a little taste to check for seasonings. So let me do that. Just get a little noodle. Noodles are tender, delicious. Chicken is wonderful, but it does need more salt and pepper. Like a good bit more salt and pepper. You're just going to have to taste it yourself and do to your taste. But you also want to put a lot of black pepper in it, which I think is an Eastern North Carolina thing, but it's really, really good. Give it one more taste. Oops. Get a little chicken. Turn down the heat. This is some hot stuff too, so you might want to blow it before you eat it. It's perfect. It's delicious, tummy warming. Good. This is good food. These are good eats. Try it. I hope you enjoy it.